One, I would say really utilize that Facebook group. Like get in touch because people will say, I've been doing this 10 years. I've been doing this 1 year. This is my first week. Like somebody launched their company while they were at OC last year, right? Like, so we really run the gamut of that. So I would reach out. And a lot of times, because people come from all over the country, even trying to find someone coming from your area, or even if it's Northeast or, Texas or whatever. So find some people. If you can roommate with someone, I mean, I'm like I need all my own space kind of person, but a lot of the girls love to be roomies, which I think is great. But I would say with a really open mind and no expectations.
What's up? Welcome to the Speak Organized podcast and welcome to the Speaker Fam. I'm Melanie Summers, your host, professional organizer, ADHD organizing specialist, and your go-to gal for all things pro organizing business. I like to speak organized to give you the tools to conquer your clutter, live life with more purpose, and learn all about the business of tidying. Do me a favor, if you have not already, take out your device and tap the subscribe button so you become a member of the Speaker Fam. And if you get value out of today's content and you're watching on YouTube, be sure to give us a big old thumbs up and tap the notification bell so you're notified whenever we post new content every single week. If you're an Apple Podcast user, you can go ahead and leave us that rave 5-star review so that we grow and attract more amazing folks just like you who are living out their dreams to become a professional organizer in this amazing industry. Oh, and how could I forget to invite you to join my free Facebook group? It is the place to be. We spill all the tea, we ask questions, we give advice. It's a growing group of lots of supportive people. You're definitely going to want to be in there. And the link to join that group is going to be down in the description of the video and the podcast show notes. Now, the main mission here at I Speak Organized is to give you the best quality tools and resources to help you start or level up your organizing business to create a business that is 6 or 7 figures that does not suck away all of your time so that you can do things that you actually enjoy, like spend time with your family or cook or travel or whatever it happens to be. We want to make that happen for you here at I Speak Organized. And maybe you're coming to us today telling yourself some story like, I can't charge what that person charges, or I'm not good at marketing, or whatever it happens to be. I am here to help you understand that you can be exceptional with all the right tools and training. That's what we provide for you here. So in just a few minutes, I'm going to share with you the ways in which we can help you do that. But before we get into that, let's go ahead and start this awesome interview. All right, Speaker Fam, please join me in welcoming my friend Meghan. She is the CEO and founder of Order & Co. And she and I are going to be talking about yet another opportunity for organizers to get together and hang out in retreat style. So Meghan,
I know, so fun. I'm so sorry. Say it again.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Can you tell I don't do these often, but thank you. I'm so excited that you are having me so we could chat all things OC.
Absolutely. And that's what my video editor is for, to edit out all the silliness.
I'm like, what?
So let's just dive right in because
Okay.
I want to learn first a little bit about your origin story.
Sure.
That's one of my favorite questions to ask my guests because we all come from such
I know
different backgrounds. So how
I
did
agree.
you discover the world of organizing bins, labels, and transferring calm into chaos?
I mean, it is truly one of, I think, a very familiar story in the fact that it happened during COVID. So prior to COVID, I lived in Washington, D.C. for 18 out of the 20 years that I did high-end events. So, and then I moved to Florida and then I was still doing them in DC, like just flying back and forth. And so they were just high-end special events, like in the State Department and the Library of Congress. And, I was all in all the time and I loved it. I never thought I would do anything else in my whole life. And then COVID happened and I was like, okay, it's March 13th. As long as we're back by May, I can get all my good summer events in. And then, that clearly didn't happen. So that was a very hard time in my life because my husband was a stay-at-home dad. My job was took care of our entire family. So I really had to have like a coming to Jesus moment and be like, what am I going to do? Because especially even up north, not so much in Florida, but it was like reopening slowly. So I was talking to some friends. I talked to a coach who I happened to meet on one of a life coach, career coach that I met on my way to DC on one of my flights. And he's like, here's my suggestion. He's like, ask your friends, what is it that they would ask you advice for? And if you were to write a book, what would it have to be about for them to buy it? And so I did. I asked like 15 of my closest friends, and they said interior design and organizing.
Mhm.
So I was like, okay, let's try it. And even by then, it had already been about like 4 months in. It was like I finally had time to organize I mean, I love to organize, right? Never, and I was obsessed with the home edit. Like even when I was in events, they had a book signing in DC that I went to. So it was always like, I mean, I loved it. Never thought I would actually be doing it. So then when I realized that when I was kind of coming to like thoughts were coming to fruition, I was like, you know what? This makes sense. Like everyone cares what's happening in their homes right now. Everyone wants some calm in the chaos that's kind of all over the world at the moment. I'm going to try and make this like a new career for me. So we're now 4 years in.
And boy, howdy, did you do it. We're going to talk a little bit about the sort of evolution of that.
Yes.
I also want to point out the fact as an introvert here, I love that you say you talk to 15 of your closest friends. I'm like trying to piece together like four, or whatever. Anyway.
But I have like such good friends from like growing up. Then I have my DC friends, then I have my best college friends, and then I have my Florida friends. So it's like all these different patches. And I would say, what is that saying? Like, I would rather have 3 amazing friends and like 50 semi friends. Like, the friends I still stay close to, I am so close to. I'm a relationship person, which I think is why OC is so important to me, because I'm a relationship person. And that's why I think I've done well in sales, whether it's in events or it's in organizing. I have my clients become my like closest friends, and they're confident and they trust me, and they blindly trust me, which is what I love. So somehow it all like has led to this point.
It makes sense, and it definitely speaks to the type of person that you are. So
Yes.
we have a really good segue here, because you mentioned something that some people might have caught. Maybe they didn't. You said OC. So
Yes.
some people are like, what the heck
What's
is that? So
I know.
we're going to get the scoop on OC. It's
Yes.
obviously the organizer collective that you started. It's a retreat style conference for professional organizers. So I've heard that the OC 2025 is the place to be for organizers.
Yay! I love that you hear that. That's great.
That's what I hear. And I've heard really good things in the past from a lot of former attendees and speakers. So what do you feel makes the event such a game changer for organizers, whether they're newbies or seasoned pros? Can you just share a little bit about the plans and where it's going to be and all that good stuff?
Absolutely. So OC, like you said, we're now calling it OCR because we try not say conference. So don't say conference. We call it a retreat, Organizers Collective Retreat, because I think the secret sauce in it is the intimacy. It's small, and you really do get to leave knowing everybody that was there. And I think that lends itself to people being more vulnerable, and people like, there's zero gatekeeping. Everyone, it's amazing that the speakers who come, that they will talk about anything, answer any questions. No one's, trying to be like, well, pay me later for this and I'll tell you. It's all very transparent, which I think everybody has really appreciated. But so let's back up a little bit. So the reason I started it was because, being newer into the industry, I think our first one, we had only had Order & Co for a year. But I think everyone that owns a business, any entrepreneur knows, it gets really lonely, right? It's hard. And even if you have a team of 20, it's still lonely because you're the one on top and you're in charge. And I was like realizing how quickly the organizing community was growing. I'm like, why are we not tapping into each other? Right. Like, and it's so funny because the best part about OC is the energy, but I'm like, there's all this positive energy. Like, why are we not harnessing it and like helping each other? Like, you can't go talk to your best friend about a CRM. They're like, what the hell is that? Like, but to us, it's like, that's like sexy talk. I'm like, talk to me about a CRM and how do you make it pretty? So that was the point of that, right? It's just to kind of like get like minds together and not only just have the speakers speaking to us and teaching us these new things, but really learning from each other. Mm-hmm. So like every year it has, changed in ways based on what people say in their surveys. And so like we get more workshop type of talks, not just us, the speakers speaking to us, because it's like, we want to hear what the people at our table are saying, like what they do too. You know what I mean? There's so much to learn from each other. So we've changed it every year. The first year was in Ponte Vedra, Florida, which is where I live. Then we went to St. Simons, Georgia. And then last year was in Charleston. And this year it's in Savannah, Georgia. Ooh, so we are so excited. It's so beautiful. It's such a gorgeous city. It has so much history. And for people who have been following along through the years, we rebranded this year. And the rebrand really was focused on on Savannah, Georgia this year, just because it's a little moodier, it's a little richer. It definitely is the vibe that I think Savannah brings to the table that's very different from the last three. We've done a little bit more preppy, beachy, and this is a little bit more moody and vibey, which I love. I love them all feeling very different.
Absolutely. That's great. And I want to learn. So I respect the branding for sure. OCR. So we're talking more retreat style. It's a bit
Yes.
of a restorative feel. It's more intimate, more cozy,
Yes.
more collaborative, if you will, because
Very.
you're talking about workshops and things like that. So what are some of the things? I know you can't divulge everything.
Yes, too much. We're announcing speakers in the next few weeks, so everybody will hear those soon.
Perfect. Okay, cool. So what can we, like, if somebody's brand new to this,
Yep.
what can they expect from attending a retreat like the Organizer Collective?
I mean, they can expect leaving not only having a game plan of things to implement in their business immediately, but they're going to come out of there with like 60 or 70 cheerleaders behind them. That's like the best part, and I would say, because what's amazing is we get a lot of repeats. So when it's like the only time they get to see each other, when they come to OC, and I feel like that could feel intimidating to new people. But last year, I think it was a 50-50 split of, attendees who had been there before and new people. And I think we're all so welcoming and we're all so excited to be there. And I think it's exciting for people who have been year by year or to multiple years that it's like someone's first time. It's like when I get, because I love Disney World, and when I get to bring someone to Disney World the first time, it's like just as exciting for me. So because they're experiencing what people have experienced prior, and that's why they're back, because they love it. And so they're excited for them. And so it is a very loving, high energy, like come get cozy and like, let's be best friends kind of situation. I mean, I would say we start a Facebook group that you're invited to immediately after you register, and get on there, connect with people. People are looking for roommates sometimes. So that's how people connect, immediately. People try and get a drink before the welcome party so that they've met someone. I mean, everyone is just as welcoming as you would possibly hope, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, in terms of the actual content that people are going to be able to take away and apply to their business, you offer some real good stuff, no fluff. Like
no fluff.
So let's talk a little bit about a sneak peek. What are some of the kinds of strategies that people walk away with?
And this year I went about like speakers and topics differently. Before, I had looked at what people put in their surveys of who they wanted to hear from. And then I kind of got that list together, reached out to them, and then be like, well, what do you want to talk about? What are you passionate about talking about? And that's kind of how we filled the timeline. This year, sorry, I definitely have something on my lip. This year, what I did was I took from the survey of what topics people wanted to hear about. Then I took when we did the wait list, we also asked, like, what are you looking to learn at the next OC? And I took those topics, and it was like 140 topics. And then I started putting them in buckets. And then I was like, okay, I narrowed down based on that. And then now what I did was I went back and figured out who would be the best speaker on that topic. I kind of worked backwards because I was like, I really want to hit what people are asking for. And for example, one of the big things last year people requested was for us to be able to talk about business practices that would work for solopreneurs, right? Because a lot of things we talked about last year were for people that had teams, and not everybody has a team. Not everybody even wants a team, right? Like they like just being the only person doing their organizing. So, and I really want to make sure solopreneurs also want to attend. So we have a very exciting strategy to be able to teach just solopreneurship types of things that, people with teams probably don't want to talk about. And then same with the people that want to talk about team stuff, the solopreneurs don't. So we're going to do kind of a divide and conquer strategy for those types of things. And then everything that's on the main stage will be able, to help anybody in the organizing business. So that was very exciting. The solopreneur versus, teams. One of the other things people really asked about was lead generation. And we've never really had a focused marketing lead gen, anything like that discussion. So I'm not going to tell you who's going to do it, but I know her very well, and she is amazing. I talk to her all the time, and I'm like, oh my God, I don't even know how you think to do things like that. And that is how she is so busy. So I think that will be great. And then another one that like a major think people asked about, but I also know just being in the business, it's funny. A lot of people did start in 2020. There's obviously people that have been doing it much longer, people that have just started, but we'll be in that like 5th year mark come OC time. And we're freaking tired.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of us are moms. We're like worn out because not only is it being an entrepreneur and owning a company hard, but like starting the company is hard, right? It's like, I'm hoping it's going to start to get a little easier sooner rather than later. But burnout is real. Trying to find that life work balance is really hard. And so I just feel like everyone is a little bit in that, like, I can't breathe and keep going. How do I sustain this feeling? So we really want to address that, and how can we help with that? And then, where was the other one? The solopreneurs. Oh, numbers. Stuff nobody wants to ever talk about. I mean,
I love numbers.
I know, but it's so not sexy. CRMs are sexy. Numbers aren't sexy. So, but it's so important for us to be talking about that. So, and again, I don't want it to be fluffy. I want it to be like concrete things that you can be doing on a daily, weekly basis to set yourself up for success, in business.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I love that you're kind of addressing the burnout aspect of an entrepreneur, especially a momtrepreneur.
Definitely.
As a speaker myself, that's one of the main topics that people have me come in and talk about, because it really is about trying to dial in the 20% of the things that you should be focusing on, and what's that 80% of superfluous fluff that you can either hate or get rid of, and like
absolutely
have to pass it through a filter. So that's a workshop that I've been doing forever in a day, and I'm so glad to hear that you're bringing that kind of into.
Yes, absolutely. It's so important.
People are like, this sucks and burnout's awful, and everybody's like, yeah, and then we go about our day, but nobody ever gives you like the tangible strategies for overcoming it.
And you can overcome it, and people have overcome it. So it's like, show me your ways. What can we do? But at the same time, it's kind of nice to know we're not alone in the room feeling that way. And knowing that the 3 people at this table feel the same way, I bet you guys can help each other in the next 6 months figure that out together, right? And like having that, camaraderie of like, okay, this is how, like, hold yourself accountable. They can be your accountability partner, but it's just also having those cheerleaders. Like, yeah, maybe today was not one of those days, but let's make tomorrow better. But it's just, when it's in your own head, it just swirls around, and it's so easy to negative talk, but like to have other people helping you. Like I texted my business coach right before. I was like, I'm so nervous for this. I'm like, I just hate speaking, and which I know sounds crazy because I hold a retreat, but I don't do a lot of the speaking. Mm-hmm. And she gave me the best cheerleading and like advice of like how I'm going to kill it. And I'm like, that's what I needed. And it's like, thank God I have those people in my life.
Right. Yeah. It's important to find external motivation. It's unfair for us to try to conjure that up from within all the time. It's just
absolutely. I know. Exactly.
All right, fam, imagine this. You are sitting here in 6 months. You're running your own professional organizing business that is effortlessly scaling to 6 figures. How awesome would that be? But let me guess, you're sitting here today and you've got that voice of imposter syndrome whispering in your ear, who am I to do this? Well, let me tell you, I have been there, and it is not only possible to overcome those doubts, it is essential because your future clients are looking for you, not anybody else. You. So how do you scale a 6-figure business? It's easy. You stick with me. I gotcha. It is my honor to introduce you to my Empowered Organizer membership community. It's a game changer for turning your passion into, if you want, a full-time 6-figure gig. We've got done-for-you scripts and resources, collaborative monthly coaching calls, and a supportive community to fast-track your success by avoiding all the dumb mistakes that I've made over the years so that you don't have to make the same ones. You're welcome. Head to melaniesummerscoaching.com/empowered-organizer to learn more and enroll today. And don't worry, it's kind of like your favorite streaming subscription service. Cancel anytime and renew when you want. And if that weren't convincing enough, let me give you just a little taste of the treasure trove that you'll find when you head to ispeakorganized.com/courses. First, you'll definitely want to check out my overbooked course, packed with golden nuggets to help you get clients and fill your calendar so that you can work full-time as a professional organizer. Or if you need a little personalized guidance, my one-on-one coaching sessions are perfect for getting your most burning questions answered, helping you move forward confidently? Or how about I save you loads of precious time with my professional organizer forms pack, 9 done for you customizable forms, including a client agreement, so that you can start taking paying clients ASAP. Don't miss my ChatGPT prompt guide with over 750 prompts to optimize tasks like social media captions, blog posts, and more. Engineered for success every time. Again, visit ispeakorganized.com/courses to explore all these options and more. Are you ready to take the leap? Visit the link. I know you want to. So, which leads me kind of into our next point very perfectly, because so my audience primarily are brand new or aspiring organizers. Most of them come to I Speak Organized who are interested in learning about the field. So I'm like the go-to gal for like newbies,
I love that.
Those are my people. So
yes.
So that's why I want to ask this question, because you touched on the fact that it's very isolating when you first start a business. And when you only have yourself to talk to, you have to fill in all the gaps with these assumptions and this self-talk. A lot of it is very negative, or it prevents us from moving forward because we're in our own way. So
yes.
For somebody who might be nervous about attending their first ever organizing retreat, knowing everything we've talked about, it's a tribe. You're going to find your people, that you're going to have support. You're going to have concrete, no fluff strategies, blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
What advice would you give to make the most of the experience for those who want to come?
One, I would say really utilize that Facebook group. Like get in touch, because people will say, I've been doing this 10 years. I've been doing this 1 year. This is my first week. Like somebody launched their company while they were at OC last year, right? Like, so we really run the gamut of that. So I would reach out, and a lot of times, because people come from all over the country, even trying to find someone coming from your area, or even if it's Northeast or, Texas or whatever. So find some people. If you can roommate with someone, I mean, I'm like I need all my own space kind of person, but a lot of the girls love to be roomies, which I think is great. But I would say with a really open mind and no expectations and a notebook, right? And we give you a workbook. So like there's plenty of places to take notes, but I love having a separate notebook. It's just, I'm like a list maker. So it's just like all the major points that like you'll have notes from an entire presentation, but like what were the 5 key things that you loved from it, and put it in your notebook. And then by the end, I would say, wait 3 days. Like I love reading stuff on the airplane home, right? Just like refresh notes, just kind of going through my brain, but then step away, because it's going to feel, without prompt, like 3 days later, you're going to feel so overwhelmed. Like I shouldn't say that. Erase all that part. When you leave, you're going to feel overwhelmed. Erase all that. You're going to feel very overwhelmed, because it is a lot in a 2.5 day retreat. Right. And so it's like, from the person throwing it, I find it's like this fine line, because I want to make sure everyone feels like they're getting what they paid for, and it's like worth it, and they have all this content, but at the same time, I'm not trying to like melt people's brains. You know what I mean? Because it's being on, and being on is hard for that a long, amount of time. But by the end, you're a little bit fried, and you're like, where do I start? And I think what people run into is if they try and start immediately, they're going to be so overwhelmed, like you just said, and they get in their own way and they're going to stop. Like give it 3 days to a week, then come back. And the first thing you should do is go back to that notebook that I said, where your main points were, read through that. And that's when you'll be like, yes, this is what I pulled from that presentation. And then you have the full workbook that you can go back and like see, more details and really outline what you want to do. We talk about it like a game plan of when you leave, and really how to utilize the skills that you've learned here, because I want people to actually take what they've learned and go do something, because if they do that, they're going to want to come back next year. If they leave and overwhelmed and don't do anything, they're like, I'm not going to do that again. So my whole focus is make sure, something comes out of this.
Right. I think that's great. And, anytime I either speak at an event or I attend one or whatever, even if I'm speaking at the event, I always try to get something out of what everybody else is talking about and learn from it, use it as an experience. And I always end up coming away from it feeling a bit overwhelmed as well. There's just so much information to process. It's totally normal. And the one thing that I've really told myself and tell my coaching clients is that if you're in that brain space, it's not a bad thing. It just means that you're learning something new. You're putting yourself outside your comfort zone, and that's a good thing.
It always is a good thing.
And
I
then
mean,
you
that,
the
listen, you
filter.
started a business by yourself. That's putting yourself in out of your comfort zone, most people's comfort zone. You know what I mean? So already you're a risk taker. So going to a retreat for the first time, you're a risk taker. Like
Mhm.
these are just things that entrepreneurs have, characteristics. So, but I think you don't want to lose that excitement in that moment, right? Like you're going to need to sit in it and settle with it and then go back and really look at the facts and the things, the strategies that you learned. All I can see is my bags, by the way. That's all I'm saying.
Whatever. Oh my
As
goodness.
we talk, I'm going to just talk like this.
Yes. We're going to start getting ads on Instagram.
Mompreneurs, this is us. All we do is bags. There's got to be a makeup I could be taking or a lift. Oh my gosh. This is why I need Botox, you guys. Oh my God. That's all I
Not
take.
at all. That is so funny. That's why I keep my lights like real low.
God, does it hide that? God, you said I had to have a bright room, and all it's doing is showing all my bits.
Oh man, I don't even know. I just shadows or whatever. You are so funny and absolutely gorgeous. Nothing to worry about.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So I want to talk a little bit about the vibe of
Yeah.
this upcoming retreat. I want to kind of get everybody like we've obviously piqued people's interest by
Yes.
watching this.
Yay.
They're hopefully overcoming their fears. They're getting ready to punch fear in the face and step out of the way and like go do this.
Absolutely. Yes.
So let's set the stage here a little bit. Let's
Yeah.
talk Savannah. So it's a dreamy, historic city. You obviously are very intentional with your branding. So how do you think the location adds to that magic and energy for this year's conference?
So what we actually haven't talked about is, and it's funny, I can't believe I skipped over this when I say what stands out, is the details. So coming from an events background, and I come from like a bougie events background, and I'm kind of bougie myself. So the best place to put really intentional details is in front of professional organizers because they notice everything. I mean, I would say in my past life when I planned events that not even half the attendees noticed a lot of the details we put into things, right? Because they're just like at a corporate event. But like these ladies who come in notice every single thing we do. God bless them because it makes it all worth it because it's so much work. So the event itself is very bougie and it's very purposely orchestrated in a way that it feels like you're being pampered for the entire time you're there. And that was intentional because I know how freaking tired we all are, right? Like from running a business, being a mom, like, I don't know, training for marathons, like everyone who comes is a very busy person and they're exhausted. And they have now taken their time to step away from their business, invest in themselves. And I am so grateful and thankful for that. I want it to be not only worth it by the content that they learn, but just it's an experience. Like people walk away from it saying, I feel like I was like on a vacation, but I know it was work related. You know what I mean? There's so much food and beverage. You don't know what to do with yourself. Everything, you'll get more things with your name or your company on it that you don't know what to do with. Like everything is just so personalized in a way that I know, one, that they're going to notice and appreciate it, but it just makes them feel really special and a little bit on a pedestal. And that's how I want these ladies to feel. Like my love language is taking care of people. And so being able to do this for like 60 to 70 women who just love it and just are like a big warm hug after is just like the best spent time. So having said that, now that we're in Savannah, it's just the perfect backdrop to it, right? It's just, the big oak trees and the Spanish moss and it's just the beautiful historic homes. Like it's just stunning, right? And like, so outside, so you guys will have just seen that we announced it's at the Thompson Hotel, which is it really lends itself to the new branding. It's very moody and vibey, which is very different from Charleston Place from last year, which was really like preppy and bright, which I also love because I usually have pearls in. So this is my edgy feel today. But it really lends itself to the experience we're going for this year. So last year, our welcome party was a pink party. And it was the best. I mean, I was very much in my Taylor Swift era when I was planning it. Like all of our balloon things had like the friendship bracelet, tails. Like it was totally that era, which I still love. But this year is going to have a different vibe. And we're going to announce what that is, I think in by next week, the week before, right before New Year's, we're going to announce what our welcome party theme will be, which will be exciting. And it will be very different from the pink party. And I was like, how do I like get better than the pink party? Because the pink party was really kind of spectacular, but I think we've outdone ourselves. So I'm really excited. I just think I just feel like I should have really said that to new people coming. It's an experience. It's not just a work trip, right? It's truly this immersive experience, and whatever city we've decided to have it in, we really try and merge the two in a way that, it's obviously we're in Savannah, Georgia. We do, local bakeries and, just to have that kind of local vibe right there when they first walk in at their welcome desk. So you'll see lots of fun details. It will be so nice. We go off premise for events, so we'll be in the city as well, not just in the hotel. So I'm really, really excited.
That sounds wonderful. Thank you for kind of like walking us through the whole journey and all the details. We love
yes.
all this. It sounds so romantic, but like Valentine's Day style romance.
It is. That is the perfect way to describe it. It is such a love fest. And it's fun because everyone has their girlfriends, and I've been telling my husband, I'm so lucky. I do really have a great friend group, but I'm like, the people I'm just so drawn to right now are my work friend group, because I'm just in the throes of building this business, and the people that understand what I'm going through on a day-to-day basis are those friends. Right. And it's just so nice to be able to find your people within the industry and be able to lean on them. And so when you get there, not only will you probably have your closest friends, you literally are going to have 70 women that are just as excited to see you and meet you and be there and see the city, that it's just it's like a palpable energy when you walk in. It's so fun.
Oh, I love that. That sounds just like an absolute dream.
Yay.
And obviously, the personal growth game is the most important thing. That really shows how much you care about each individual person and want
absolutely
to help elevate that. So let's to wrap this up, let's talk about that a little bit. Let's have some fun with it, because I want to know from you personally what some of the things you like to engage with are, because as we just kind of tied that off, we're mentioning and noting that being a business owner, a professional organizer, most of our listeners here, it's not easy. And so having your people is important. Coming to an event like this can be life-changing, game-changing, really kind of elevate your business and the experience that you have as an entrepreneur. But for you personally, Meghan, what do you do to keep leveling up on a personal and professional level? Are there any go-to routines, books, mentors, anything share what you personally like?
Sure. I hired a business coach within year one. And it was expensive and it was an investment. And she is still my paid coach to this day, and now has become probably one of my best friends. And I strongly encourage, if you're able to, because there's all different types of coaches out there that specialize in certain things and different price points. But having a go-to mentor is, I think, it changed the trajectory for sure of my company, 100%. Because like you said, a lot of times, if you're just thinking about things in a loop, you're going to stop yourself before you get started. Honestly, just OC was in my brain, and I kind of talked about it. I mentioned it to some of my organizing friends. We were in the middle of talking to Corinne about something totally separate. I think it was launching a digital, something. And I was like, okay, before we get to part two of this, and I just threw out the idea of OC, and she stopped in her tracks and was like, yes, the industry needs it. If anyone's going to do it, it's going to be someone like you with your background. We need this. And I don't think if I had gotten that from her, I would have taken that jump, right? Because it was a big jump. It was hi, nobody knows who we are because I'm brand new, but Order & Co is going to throw a beautiful retreat. Come to it, And I think she's done that for me every step of the way. I now do staging. I now do interior design. I do all these different things. And I just don't think if I had her as can I do this? Should I do this? How do I do this? I don't know if I would have done it. So I think having that person as a mentor, not just as a peer, is really priceless, right? Because let's be honest, all your friends are going to be do it, I needed someone with like a level head and an objective point of view to be like, maybe not this, but try this. So I just think that has been game changing for me in my business. The other thing I would say, and I feel like we've said it multiple times, is truly finding your tribe, right? And I mean, I found my tribe literally by like a bad blind date. I should say an amazing blind date because it led to like my friendships. But literally 4 years ago, I saw someone post on Facebook, or Instagram about like, can't wait to meet my organizer besties in Nashville. And I was like, and it was in like 8 days. And I was like, who's going to Nashville? Like, what are you guys doing? They're like, we just had 2 people drop out of a house. None of us know each other, but we're all going to go meet in Nashville in like 8 days. Do you want to go? I'm like, sure do.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I really didn't know anybody. And we just had our 4th trip. Like, we are best friends. And we have, we're all going to, one of the girls just is getting married. We're all going to the wedding together. Like, they are my tribe. And I just don't think, like everybody knows in a business, there's highs and lows. And I don't think I would have gotten through some of those lows without them. So, but people find their tribe at OC. You know what I mean? Like, that's how you find your people. And I just strongly encourage putting yourself out there to find those people.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great way to end this conversation. And I just want to make sure that for those who are interested in learning more about it, that we get, if there's an Instagram handle or social handle that we can find you, Facebook, website, whatever to get.
I have all of the above. So I will make sure we can tag all of that. Yes, we have, website and we just launched an Instagram page this year. Everything had been, filtered through, Order & Co, but we've now made an OCR page, which is great. And so I will send that all to you. And just if anybody is watching this and has any questions, I am the most approachable person ever. So do not hesitate to reach out and ask me any and all questions. I mean, we've had people reach out and say, can you tell me some other attendees I could reach out to and so I can talk to them about it? I'm like, I sure can. And people are always willing to talk to new people.
That's so fabulous. Thank you, Meghan. It's been such a pleasure show today. And I encourage you again, everybody, to go down to the description of the video on the podcast show notes to check out all of those resources we have down there for you. Meghan, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Melanie, for having me. I really appreciate you. You've just giving me the platform to be able to talk about it. So thank you.
All right, fam, as always, that's going to wrap it up. And I just want to thank you for spending a little bit of time with us today on the Speak Organized podcast. I hope that you got tons of value out of today's episode. I hope you feel encouraged to find your tribe, to try out a retreat. Make sure that you go down to the description of the video and the podcast show notes if you want to connect with Meghan and ask any questions. If you're interested and you want to pull the trigger on getting a ticket to that retreat, that's going to be down there for you in the description. And then, of course, make sure that you have joined my free Facebook group. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future episodes. Super important. We're putting out free content every single week just for you because we love it. And then, of course, if you're ready to level up, you found a mentor in me, come to ispeakorganized.com/courses. And that's where you can take advantage of all of our high quality, high level resources. We've got our overbooked course in there, our forms pack, lots of standalone resources that you can plug and play and use on your own time at your own pace. Or you can book one-on-one coaching calls with me as well. There's going to be opportunities to join my upcoming membership program, lots of extra perks, lots of extra videos that are only accessible through the Empowered Organizer membership vault. So be sure to check back to ispeakorganized.com/courses for all that information. And beyond that, I hope you guys have a fabulous day and I will see you in the next episode.